Hey, welcome to Tablenauts.
Hey.
I'm Doolin. And I'm Doolin. Hey, welcome to Tablenauts. I'm Doolin.
I'm Josh.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Doolin. And today, we're starting off our horror month, starting with one that will naturally tear us apart as the video goes on. We decided to do a spooky game tournament. So we've just compiled all of the spooky games that at least two of us have played. And we've ranked them based off of BGG's rankings online. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk through all of them. And the moment that one game gets 2 votes, it moves on.
You have a lock-in moment, which they lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Got it.
That's the phrase.
Just like
lock it in.
Oh, I have locked in my answer.
We have a couple of honorable mentions, as always. Two of these games that I'm about to mention are games that won't come out until next year, but they're both games that we love, one of which I think would be like in competition for the best. But these are Terror Escape, which is a game that we all three have played. And then a game that only I have played, but I think these two would like it a lot, is Dark Quarter, which is supposed to come out potentially by the end of the year or early next year. And that is a game that is between Van Ryder and Lucky Duck. It's like it's this dark noir New Orleans themed game, which seems really good.
Eldritch Horror, that's one that didn't make the list. It's all right. I feel like it's one game that's been pretty much replaced by other Arkham-verse games, especially one that's definitely in the bracket. But
what could that be?
Oh, who knows?
We got this idea from our buddies over at Foster the Meeple. They had a versus thing that they did with horror games last year, and Kenny was watching it, was like, hey, we should do something kind of similar.
yeah, we stole.
Yeah.
They're friends. It's fine.
You can steal from friends. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Do you want Bosk?
No,
That's my favorite Star Wars character. We're gonna go ahead with our first round, which we're gonna go in the upper left of the bracket where the 4 seed is, but starting off with the game that might face the 4 seed is between Elder Sign and Whitehall Mystery, which
Okay.
I think you have played.
I've played Elder Sign.
Elder Sign.
I have not played Whitehall
We
Mystery.
played Elder Sign specifically like
a long time ago.
like 7, 8, maybe 9, 10 years ago.
So Elder Sign was like one of my first a gateway game for me.
It also really tracks with with the games you really like now.
That's true.
That's fair. Yeah, it's true.
That's true. And then Whitehall Mystery, like.
Yeah, it's my favorite hidden movement game. Very streamlined and plays in under an hour. Has like kind of a Jack the Ripper theme, which I think is, I think it works. You're basically Jack the Ripper going around London.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know, because I want to judge this, and maybe this is where we really need to make this call now. I want to judge this by how good the game is, sure, but also I don't want to reward games that don't have very good, like, scary themes.
Like implementation of their themes.
So, like, I would give more points to Elder Sign for its scariness.
It's very thematic.
But to me, Whitehall Mystery is the better game. Elder Sign, to me, feels a lot like Cthulhu Yahtzee.
Yeah, I think so. I'd agree.
If I'm being honest.
I really don't think it has great theme, just because like it's so abstract that it's hard to find the horror in it. So
All right, so we'll say Elder Sign is a 1, Whitehall Mystery is 2. It's on the count of 3. We'll hold up a 1 or 2.
Okay.
You guys ready?
I've locked it in.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, Whitehall Mystery takes it, no problem. Next up is 2 games that I think all of us have played, actually.
Maybe.
One a lot more than others for me is Mysterium versus Campy Creatures. And so I wanted to just plead my case here for a second. With Mysterium, I think.
Oh, I thought you needed to. I thought you were gonna go for Campy Creatures.
No, not in favor of Mysterium yet. But I want to say that I think with some of these, like Zombicide's coming up, we need to pick a very specific one, like a specific game. And I think Mysterium Park, the carnival-themed second game, is the better of the 2. I don't know if you guys have played both or not.
I've played both.
Okay, well, we'll just stick with Mysterium since you've played it, and you can speak to it. But I do think that you would like Mysterium Park. It's a little more streamlined. Do you guys remember Campy Creatures at all? Yeah, do you? It's like a trick-taking game. Yes?
I think so.
Yes. Trick-taking drafting, right? Because you're playing a card, and depending on what everybody else played, you're gonna draft in a specific order. Think almost like Libertalia in that way. And then, do either of you guys want to explain Mysterium real quick?
So Mysterium is a game where one person is like the ghost trying to give hints to everyone else who's trying to solve a murder.
Completely co-op.
Yes, completely co-op, and you're going to draw these cards that have these really cool abstract artwork, and you're going to give specific cards to specific people to try to lead them towards a murderer.
It's Dixit, but spooky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little obviously has hired a bunch of artists, and they're just like, we gotta get it out somehow. All right, so Mysterium is a 1. Campy Creatures is a 2.
Okay.
Do you guys have your pick?
Locked in.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, Mysterium, unanimous. I considered
Look at us.
picking Campy Creatures, but Mysterium is just, I love it.
It's
I
just
love it a
good.
lot. So, great game, and I think that next matchup is going to be hard in my brain. All right, next matchup we have is Betrayal at House on the Hill versus another classic, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. This is a matchup between two of the probably earliest games I played when I was getting into the hobby. One is a social deduction game where everybody has a role, and in one night, it basically, like all of those old games I used to play, like Mafia, it made it last a lot shorter of a period of time, and I like that.
Yeah,
I like
got
that
rid
it
of
was-
player elimination.
no player elimination. It's just if you get them or if you don't. Whereas Betrayal at House on the Hill, how would you explain that game, Kenny?
It's kind of like a, I don't know, like an exploration game. Partly exploration game, then becomes like a one versus many.
But did you know that One Night is Japanese?
Really? One Night
Yeah.
Ultimate Werewolf? Okay, cool. They have.
I did see a Kirby version of it while I was in Japan, though.
That's amazing. Why didn't you buy that?
Because I'm stupid.
One Night Ultimate Kirby.
Yeah.
He's like,
Who did it?
he looks like the person next to him.
I do not have the slightest clue.
Betrayal at House on the Hill, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I have no idea how you guys are gonna vote, but we'll say Betrayal is number 1, One Night is 2. So you guys ready to vote? Yep. All right.
Locked in.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, I expected that to be more contentious than it was.
Unanimous.
Yeah, I do not like One Night Under.
Oh, you
One Night.
don't?
No, it never has hit for me.
I think it's impossible to not see Betrayal and think this is one of the, like, a perfect spooky game.
Yeah, and it's like I remember when I was first getting into the hobby, I was very like intrigued by Betrayal just because how thematic it is.
Yeah.
I don't think the game is rough, right? But I think just like that promise of like going through a haunted house and seeing all these haunts is always really exciting.
All right, next up are two. I'm not sure if you've played either of these games, but maybe. Number 1 is Paranormal Detectives, and the other is Villainous.
Neither.
And
You've
I'm
never
baffled
played
you've never played
Villainous?
I've never
Any
played
kind?
Villainous. No, I'm a good guy. You know, it's fine.
You like asymmetry though in games, right?
Yeah, I've never played it. So.
I think you'd like it. I think it would be a fun time. We might have to play that at some
Yeah,
point.
we pulled the Star Wars one right after this.
All right, we could. I mean, Star Wars Villainous is really, really good. All right, so Paranormal Detectives is kind of in the same realm as Mysterium, but it kind of just leans into the wackiness. Instead of cards that you're playing as a ghost, you're playing these cards that allow you to do things like draw on the person's back with your finger a clue, or use this string to somehow make a clue. Everybody else at the table is trying to guess who did it, why they did it, where they did it, I think where, and what was their motive. So why and what was their motive is actually 2 different ones, which is a bit odd. I don't know, sometimes you get that mixed up, but I think this is a unique party game. And then Villainous is just, it's an asymmetric race to your objective type of game where you're constantly blocking the other people with heroes from their story, and you're playing all of these villains from all of these different Disney movies. Sometimes you can play it as Marvel, sometimes you can play it, but I think we're gonna stick with basic Disney Villainous for this purpose.
Why would you consider Villainous a horror game though?
I think it's spooky because of the characters that you can play.
Maleficent's a little spooky. Dr. Facilier is a little spooky.
For sure. You never
It's
watched
a little bit of a
Disney movie
stretch, but,
and
you
thought
know.
the villains in them are kind of spooky.
No,
Well, to be fair,
to be fair.
the people that we got this idea from included Villainous in their video, so
Oh, okay.
But they really like Villainous.
that's true. I do too.
They put it in everything. Valentine's Day themed games. I love Villainous.
You can see that for Valentine's Day. So Paranormal Detectives is a 1, Villainous is a 2.
Okay, you
You
locked
guys
in?
ready? I am locked in.
Locked in.
1, 2, 3. Oh, I got outvoted.
You
Okay, that's the
did.
very first time.
Okay. So here's the thing.
So Paranormal Detectives.
I think that Villainous is probably the better game, but I think that Paranormal Detectives is the better spooky game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just don't get how Villainous is a horror game. I don't look like Cruella DeVille and go, oh, spooky.
This one, no questions asked. I know that for sure. You've not played either of these either. Resident Evil 3 versus Last Night on Earth. And we actually have a Resident Evil 3 video that
Should come out this month.
I was hoping it would come out in a few days, but we'll see. We'll see how fast Josh edits that video. But we're comparing the board game, not the video game, to the game Last Night on Earth. One of these is a co-op game or a solo game. You can play Resident Evil 3 solo or co-op, and it plays through scenarios from the game, and it actually is a campaign that you're meant to play. That's something I did not know when I first started the board game, but it's actually meant to play through most of the video game itself. And then Last Night on Earth is just a beloved classic here on Tablenauts.
You've seen the video.
You haven't yet, and you should. It's also, you know what, there's a theme with this one, which is it's up to Josh when we see these videos.
It's 2 videos I've yet to edit.
But I love this game. It's a 1v mini game, and it's in the style from Flying Frog Productions of a very crappy zombie film, like with zombie film tropes, horror film tropes. Where the zombies are playing cards like unnecessary self-sacrifice, where one zombie might be in a space with 3 other characters, but because they played this card, one character has to fight them alone. And it's just like a movie. It's like, oh, you guys go on, and it makes no sense in the moment when you're watching the movie. You're like, just go with them. Why are you doing that? Or if 2 characters are in the same space and they might be romantically involved, you can play a card that says, if this might be our last night on Earth, and then those 2 characters don't get a whole turn next time, implying that they're
too busy schnogging
to do anything. And it's just like an actual horror film when there's all those classic scenes, and you're like, what are you doing? There's problems outside, and they're not doing what you want. And I love that. I love that it leans into that, and it gives you that feeling the whole way through. I think it's very clear where I'm voting.
I was thinking that the entire time. He's like, Resident Evil 3 is the thing. Boy, Last Night on Earth. Let me tell you about that.
But anyway, I think both of these have a very good spooky theme.
Yeah.
So
Just one more than the other.
yes, in my opinion. But anyway, Resident Evil 3 is a 1, and Last Night on Earth is 2. So I'm locked in.
Locked in.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ha ha! I even got Kenny to vote for Last Night on Earth. I love it.
Yeah, I'd actually like to play this one day.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I like the one versus many aspects where one person controls like a horde of zombies, and then the other people are just like the.
I'm glad it went one space because I will naturally be its champion throughout this whole tournament, but I think it'll get knocked out next round. We'll see.
Like it gets a lot of flack from the rest of the guys, but like I like it.
I love
it's
it.
good.
Next up is Blood on the Clock Tower versus Dead by Daylight, which is a game that Kenny loves.
Kenny, tell us about Dead by Daylight.
I don't want to.
It's also a 1v minigame.
Yes.
Very different than Last Night on Earth. They're playing a killer, just like in the video game it's based off of, and it leans into the video game feel really well. It's certainly not my favorite 1v minigame, but I think that the variety in the game, based off of the video game, is very good. It's very fun with all the different killers.
I feel like it implements the IP very well.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like items or just like systems that the game has in it, like blood points, if you've ever played it, that it incorporates into the game in a way that I didn't expect it to. So I thought that
like
was
with
neat.
upgrades and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then Blood on the Clock Tower.
It is a social deduction game to end all social deduction games. At this point, big game, groups of 8 to 10 people, a lot of complicated roles, and I think it creates like a unique story every time. And it's great. I love it.
Doolon's looking for the social deduction game to end all social deduction games.
I see it and I can't grab it. It's behind Kenny.
What do you think it is?
My favorite social deduction game is Feed the Kraken. I really like that game.
You know what? Yeah, that would get my vote as well.
That's fair, but we're not talking about that.
It's not on this list. It's not spooky enough.
We talked about it, but no.
All right, so I don't think we need to talk about it much more. I think I know what will win this one, but we'll see. Blood on the Clock Tower is 1. Dead by Daylight is a 2.
Locked in.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blood on the Clock Tower unanimously moves on.
Dead by Daylight. It's fine.
You hated it.
I feel like that's like coming from Kenny. That's like the biggest this is the worst.
So I do want to say that you spent most of the game dead.
That seems like a problem.
Yeah, and like player elimination was an issue, which is actually
something I don't like about the video game.
That's true. But I was about to say it was actually something that I think Blood on the Clock Tower does a good job of not having happen, where you don't feel, even if you died, you still feel like you're part of the game.
Still in it, yeah.
All right, next up are two games that I don't think you've played, and it's only me and Kenny.
Oh boy.
So this is Under Falling Skies, which is a solo game that almost... this game is hard to describe for me.
It's like a solo...
Dice rolling.
It's like a dice management and resource management game. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're trying to...
it's kind of like Space Invaders.
Space Invaders.
Slowed down.
Slowed down, yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And it's a campaign. You can play it as a campaign. And then the next one is Dreadful Meadows, which is a definitely not scary game, but very spooky, polyomino, almost engine building game, which we played last year. It got sent to us. I had no expectation for it at all, and was actually pleasantly surprised by it.
Pretty good.
It was pretty good.
I really liked it.
I'm actually planning on breaking it out and playing at least the solo mode, unless people want to play with me this month, because it's the perfect month for it. What do you guys think? Under Falling Skies, Dreadful Meadows, do you guys have any thoughts? Do you have any questions as a person who's never played them games?
I'm just gonna go with my gut.
Go with your gut. All right.
My thing is, I don't know, like Under Falling Skies, like Villainous, doesn't really feel like a horror game to me.
Really?
It feels like a sci-fi game to me, well, which I think it is.
You watched Alien the movie and you're like, this isn't scary.
Well, that's different.
It's more like, do I watch Independence Day, the movie, and think this is scary? No.
Okay, well, very clearly, we know which way Kenny's going with his vote, but I know which way I'm going. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Dreadful Meadows.
I was gonna go with one, but Kenny, you turned me at the last moment.
I think it very clearly is the more spooky of the two themed games. I think that both are right there in terms of the game itself, and so that put it up above Under Falling Skies.
But I actually really like Dreadful Meadows. I was actually thinking about I'd actually like to play that again soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I think it's like a spooky Halloween game without like being like scary.
Next up is Beast versus Cryptid, which are two games. Oh no, I've played Cryptid, but I've never played Beast, and so I'll go ahead and say very easily will I be willing to vote for a game I've played over a game I haven't. So you guys need to convince me, what is Beast?
It's a moving game, kind of like Whitehall Mystery. One person plays as the beast in the forest, and everyone else plays as the hunters trying to track him down. And it's pretty much kind of like a lot similar to other hidden movement games, but in this one, the pace is a bit different in terms of like as the hunters, you're going to find the beast multiple times in the game, which kind of changes up the dynamic. A lot of hidden powers, extra equipment you can find. So it's kind of like a hidden movement game with like extra stuff bolted on, I would say.
This sounds like a video game that I got really excited about, and then it was trash.
What video game is that?
Evolve.
Oh, it very much feels like Evolve.
But you can actually find games to play.
Yes, yeah, you can actually play. You just have to have the game and friends.
Oh. No.
I don't really know how spooky it is.
I think it's tangentially there. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's the same thing with Cryptid. Cryptid is like,
Yeah,
you're
but-
finding the, like...
But cryptids are like naturally spooky monsters. When I played Beast, I was a wolf.
I mean, but to be fair, do you see the wolf? Because in Cryptid, you don't see the monster.
well, you were a wolf in a spooky forest.
That's true. I was in a spooky forest.
I know where I'm leaning.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know where you guys are leaning, but I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
1 is
Locked
Beast,
in.
2 is Cryptid. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Ooh, my dream game's moving
You guys
on.
convinced me. So I'm moving on with Beast.
Both of us? You convinced him away from your vote, Kenny.
I guess I don't think
You
Cryptid
said wolf in a spooky forest, and I was like, I'm done. I'm in.
You got me. I'm
I
sold.
think I really like Cryptid because it kind of like Dreadful Metal. It's kind of like a Halloween game that's light.
I don't feel like it's very Halloweeny.
Well, like a Bigfoot, I don't know.
But you never see Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's why it's so scary.
He's got the card.
If we saw Bigfoot, no one would care.
Yeah. Okay. So now we've gone through all of round 1, all of the buy-in games, and now we're gonna get into our top 8 on BGG.
Elite 8, let's go.
Versus the 8 that just moved on from the first round. So let's go back around all the way up to the top. Again, Whitehall Mystery, which is the hidden movement game where it's one versus many, like we talked about before with Jack the Ripper, versus Cthulhu Death May Die, the 4 seed. And Cthulhu Death May Die is a fully cooperative game about Cthulhu and all of his friends.
I think this has been described as shooting Cthulhu in the face. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It reminds me of Zombicide, but like the boss battling is a lot more prevalent and way better in this game, and I think it leans into its Cthulhu-y mythos horror very well.
I like that it has a sort of like unique take on the Cthulhu stuff, because most Cthulhu games you are just completely helpless in the game and you're just trying to like mitigate your madness and like find out how to like handle the situation. And in that one, it's like, I'm a guy with fire for hands and I'm just gonna go into Cthulhu's face and fight him.
Whitehall Mystery, still a great game. Loved it as well. Where are you guys leaning? Should we vote?
I mean, I can't tell you that.
Whitehall Mystery 1, Cthulhu Death May Die is a 2.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Death May Die moves on. Unanimous vote. Was it even close in y'all's mind?
No.
Not really for me either.
I mean, I love Whitehall Mystery, but I love Death May Die more.
I haven't played Whitehall Mystery, so.
That's fair. I forgot about that. Next up is two less horror, more spooky games, both co-op. Horrified, our 5 seed, versus Mysterium, which moved on from the first round. So Mysterium again, Dixit with spooky stuff. And Horrified is
Pandemic with spookies.
Yeah, pretty much. Where you're playing against like all of the Universal monsters, as if the viruses in Pandemic had unique ways to deal with them. Like I think that's really fun.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of it.
Do we know? Do you want to talk about it anymore? Do you guys want to?
This one's actually kind of tough for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how it is for you guys.
I know.
I know where I am.
Okay. I think I'm going to be the losing vote, but it's okay.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, okay.
It's for Horrified, right?
Horrified.
Yeah. Oh, no, I meant.
Sorry, I forgot to say that before, but Horrified was a 1, Mysterium was a 2. It was a lot closer than you think. Mm-hmm. I think if I'm talking about the second game, Mysterium Park, it might go over because I do like how streamlined it is, but the Horrified game is just way too fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good when we played it. I have a lot more experience with Mysterium than I do with Horrified.
Yeah. No, both great games, though. We move on. Both Horrified and Death May Die are in the Elite 8. Betrayal at House on the Hill versus Zombicide in the Sweet 16 match.
Zombicide
being our 8 seed. We got to decide on that right now. And I feel like we might disagree on which one's the
I've
best
never
one.
played base Zombicide.
What were you going to say? This is the one. What was?
I mean, my favorite is the West one.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that one.
Okay, you sure? Mm-hmm. I mean, if we want to lean more into spooky, like Black Plague might be
Black Plague is one that I've played the most.
Might be more scary?
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with that, yeah.
Black Plague? Okay, we'll go BP. Zombicide BP. It's a gas station.
British Petroleum.
So Betrayal House on the Hill versus Zombicide Black Plague.
Okay.
Should we explain Zombicide at all? I mean...
Oh yeah, we haven't explained Zombicide.
It's a co-op game. Kind of like Death May Die. Same creators.
The Secret Dice Chucky. Yeah.
Like, think Left 4 Dead, but a board
scenario based.
Betrayal House on the Hill is a 1. Zombicide Black Plague is a 2. I know where I'm voting. Do you guys know where you're voting?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right. Zombicide Black Plague moves on.
As much as I love Betrayal, it is very clunky.
For me, Betrayal is a game I loved when I first started in the hobby. It's just fallen.
It's one that's hard to introduce new people to. Because if they're playing for the first time and they become the one, it's just a disaster.
It always happens too.
We're moving on to the next Sweet 16 matchup between Nemesis, which is the 1 seed.
Let's go!
Versus Paranormal Detectives.
Oh man, it's going to be a close one.
Which is the co-op game again. That is the party game. Nemesis is a blast of a game where it is... It can be 1 versus many, but in other games it can be completely co-op. It's actually up to you based off of hidden objectives that you're going for that you get at the beginning of the game. And then it's probably the closest to a horror, like a true horror game that I've played in board game form, where I'm genuinely scared of the miniatures that are popping up on the board. I'm genuinely scared of putting up too much noise because I know that any poor roll, any poor flip of a card, and boom, I've gotten murdered. And I don't get to play anymore. There's only one game that is in my mind for what I'm going to vote for, and it's very clear to me. I don't know how clear you guys are.
Dude, locked in. Paranormal Detective.
All right, ready? 3, 2. Oh, wait. I forgot to say. Nemesis is a 1. Paranormal Detective is a 2. 3, 2, 1.
It's Nemesis. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Much like that last round where Kenny hasn't played one of them. Almost just like threw up everywhere.
Dude, we had a stroke on camera.
I had a hiccup burp at the same time. Last Night on Earth versus Mansions of Madness.
Ooh.
Which I don't think you've.
No,
you
I want to play it so badly though.
I played it one time with Foster the Meeple when we were in Canada, and it was a really cool co-op experience. Not unlike Nemesis, where at some point, if your health gets too low or you're go insane, which I did. You get a card that can potentially make you the villain of the game, which is pretty fun. Like where you're actively going against the group. Mine was really funny. It was you are suspicious, but
sus.
You're just playing the game. Yeah. And so like the rest of the game, no one trusted me because everybody knew I had that card, and I was like, I'll never.
Yeah, I could be the bad guy.
Yeah, Mansions of Madness was really cool. It reminded me of Death May Die, but it maybe leans into more of the investigative, like the stuff that you're doing before you face the final boss in Death May Die, where you're like trying to gather clues and like all that stuff, and it may be a little bit more thematic in my mind.
It's like
whereas
Big
Death
Boy
May Die
Betrayal.
is like more fun.
But I think Death May Die is like there's a lot of different scenarios, but it tends to be more like action oriented.
Action. Yeah.
Mansions of Madness can really point towards like because it's app driven and kind of like guides you along, and so each of the scenarios can be quite a bit different. Like there was one I did where it's just like you're in the haunted museum just trying to find clues, and there wasn't a lot of like fighting. It's just very much focused on like the clue getting and stuff. So
the app is really cool. It's really well done. There's plenty of good things I could say about that, even after just one time playing it. But it is going up against Last Night on Earth, which is a pretty good game and has a really good theme as well. So anyway, Last Night on Earth is a 1. Mansions of Madness is 2. And we're gonna vote. I'm locked in.
Locked in.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I thought about for the lols
For the memes.
Voting Last Night on Earth, but Mansions of Madness, I think even it's theme-wise with how great the app is and how great the writing is, actually has more spookiness in it than Last Night on Earth does.
Ooh.
I'm just mad that they had to face each other that early. I gotta say, Last Night on Earth is a great
You're
game.
full of madness.
Yes. Next up is Dead of Winter, a 6 seed, versus Blood on the Clock Tower. So Dead of Winter is another game kind of like in the realm of Nemesis, where it is potentially co-op, potentially not. I think the odds of being completely co-op are very slim, but it's not 0, which means that there's times where you really doubt whether or not you're making the right decision to kick somebody out of the group or something like that because you're not sure. But this is a resource collecting zombie fighting game where it reminds me of just playing The Walking Dead. Like if you've ever watched the show, it reminds me a lot of that, where even the characters kind of feel like Walking Dead characters, where there are these moments, like these story moments where they could get bit and then they're dead, and then you just have to deal with that. And like the nice part about this is that you're not locked into just one character. You're actually playing as multiple characters, and you can gather even more characters into your crew that you're controlling. And so when one dies, it's sad and all of their stuff goes away, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh, I'm not out. I'm not out of the game. But this was like, you talked about games that brought you into the hobby. I played this game a ton in college and loved it. So much so that like there was one January where we were about to go back to school. We all arrived back at the house that we were renting, and then there was this thing that we called snowpocalypse that happened, and our internet went out, our electricity went out, and we were like, well, let's get some flashlights and play board games for the next
like a
7
week.
days.
Yeah.
Because like
all of our classes were canceled.
Yeah, and that's college, which never happens. But
that sounds great.
Yeah, it was great. And we just played board games. We played Dead of Winter like probably
Probably like 3 or 4 times.
like almost a day.
Yeah.
Like it was great. And then Blood on the Clock Tower, which I have other great memories of as well. But I just want to, since we hadn't talked about Dead of Winter yet, but
Yeah. Dead of Winter also has, like, similar to, like, Feed the Kraken or Secret Hitler, that thing where people put in cards and you don't know which ones they did, but they could have positive or negative effects. So if you flip it over,
like,
there's
oh yeah, I'm helping the group by putting
Yeah.
in gas over here. And it's like, that they actually weren't.
unlocked in. Which is which?
Dead of Winter is 1. Blood on the Clock Tower is 2.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Ooh.
Whoa, what?
I did not expect
Really?
that.
We convinced you.
I don't think Blood on the Clock Tower is a great spooky game. I think
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
I
think
think
it-
the theming is very spooky.
In theme, but like I don't get that feel when I'm playing it. Right? It's more about Dead of Winter. I mean, Blood on the Clock Tower is more about deducing and all that stuff. I don't really get the feel of like, oh, you're the zombie.
That person's actually a demon.
Have you played Dead of Winter?
Yeah.
Okay.
I play
Do you
some of
like
them.
it?
Yeah, I really like it. I think the thing about Dead of Winter is that it has a really good narrative and storytelling element because I think it
Has the crossroads stuff?
crossroads system that I think
Yeah.
they've introduced with Dead of Winter. I think that can be like a cool way to like bring in like a natural narrative into the game.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like if like something happens in a game and it kind of coincides with the card that someone has in hand or something like that, they'll basically read story elements and like it could affect the way that the game goes. And I think that's such a cool way to approach the game and add narrative and theme into a game. So
we have 2 more. Final Girl, our 7 seed, versus Dreadful Meadows, which won its first round against Under Falling Skies. So Dreadful Meadows, we've already talked about, polyomino engine building game that's like spooky but not like scary. Like it's a very bright, colorful Halloween themed game. Whereas Final Girl is the opposite. It is a solo-only game where you're running around the map trying to save everybody else, but you are the final girl trying to kill the final monster, and the monster is trying to kill you. In this game, I think the draw to it is the variety, right? It's not just one monster and one girl. It's every single box that you can buy that's different is a different themed place, different themed monster, and then 2 girls that typically come with each box, right? Am I off on that? But I don't even think that we should narrow it down to just one pack because Final Girl as a whole, I feel
Right, the Final Girl system.
yeah, we could maybe say like season 1 or season 2. Do you guys want to say that? Is there one that you've played more than the
I
other?
mean, if we were doing it to just one, it should be the first season.
Season 1.
we know how it's gonna go. So let's not worry.
Dreadful Meadows is a 1. Final Girl is a 2. I'm locked in.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a 1 at first. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, Final Girl is just so thematic, and I think I mean, for me, the draw has always been just how much it feels like a horror movie. Just like the events that happen, and just like how the how crazy things can swing. I think it just nails that stuff so well. So
All right. And then our final one for our Sweet 16 matchup is Arkham Horror, our 2 seed, versus Beast, the game that beat Cryptid.
And this is the card game.
the card game.
Which is the game that we played, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've actually not played the Arkham Horror, the base game. You haven't either, right? But you have?
I've not played.
You haven't, but you love the card game.
Love the card game.
Yeah.
It's it's a campaign game where you're basically investigators trying to go through a pretty like on the rail story. There's this decision paths and like I think places where the game can go, and you're basically playing a hand of cards. You have a hand of cards that represent your investigator and the different things they can do. It's a game I love because the story and the narrative is like the best I've experienced in the game, especially if you're playing like in a longer campaign. And I think the card play is just also just amazing. It's just you have to work cooperatively and coordinate, and it can be really tight because the game is very punishing. But when you pull it off, it's very satisfying.
I did really like the writing in it. Like just from our one experience that we had, which Kenny put us through.
I put
I mean, it was a good thing. I wanted it, but like you were a
He
DM.
walked us through.
Yeah. I hope we play it again.
Yeah, and it's one thing. Like I'll say, like the game has progressively gotten better because versus like when they released it, like I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. So quality of writing and all that has improved as well. So believe it or not.
All right. Arkham Horror, number 1. Beast, 2. I'm ready. I'm locked in. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right.
I like Beast a lot, but
Easy.
It was easy for me because I'd only played one of them.
Fair.
So I do want to say that we're going to end our video here, or we're going to have a part 2 that'll come out very soon. Very soon, not actually, I guess it is surprising because I feel like a lot of the times Tablenauts kind of goes against the grain a bit. We went all chalk, like with the BGG rankings. All of the 1 through 8 seeds that got a bye in the first round, all of them moved on. Not a single one of the ones that made it from the first round. But that's why the first round is fun, because it gives a chance for games that aren't going to make it all the way to win at least one game. So,
Yeah.
That's
we
why
get talked about, we get to express positive feelings for things, even if they aren't as good as, like, Final Girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we know what Josh is going to vote for in the next one. Just gave it away. Anyway, see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope that you'll watch again soon as we talk about the Elite 8 matchups in a future video very soon.